on this episode.
I'll start just drinking a little bit.
Oh yeah, to kind of lessen the blow.
Exactly.
All right. We should be live to both now.
Oh, cool.
So, hello everyone. Wait, I gotta put on my serious face. Serious face, do the show. Hello everyone and welcome to Awesome Hardware.
Hello.
This is a live show about technology that is streamed every week on Tuesday evening at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time to twitch.tv/awesomehardware, as well as to our YouTube channels.
Yes.
We've already done the first half of this show, episode 140-A, on Kyle's channel, which is called Bitwit. That is linked in the video's description. So if you didn't watch it, maybe you should check it out. We talked about technology, some Indiegogo stuff, and some other BS I wasn't really paying that much attention to. And that brings us to right now. We've also been drinking some beer. So occasionally we drink beer and we say like, cheers and welcome to the show. Yeah, do that. Thanks for being here, everyone. And also every once in a while we use foul language. So if you have children or otherwise are offended by that sort of thing, then don't watch our show. You were given at least a 4-second warning. So you
should have seen it coming,
obviously should have seen that coming.
All right.
Okay. I've forgotten
Dick fingers.
What we do next.
993. We're
993.
We're 7 viewers
That's
away.
1,000.
Ah! We hit it. Okay. I'm pounding it.
Kyle's pounding his beer. Kyle is pounding. That's a porter too. It's not a very. It's only it's like a 5.2% porter.
Cheers,
but still,
guys.
that was very
Cheers.
well done, Kyle.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well done. Now you need to go get more beer.
You're right. Oh boy. Ooh.
You okay?
I'm good. I'm good.
Everything's all right.
I'm ready for round 3.
All right, Kyle's gonna retrieve more beer.
1,000.
And a big shout out to everyone watching us on twitch.tv/awesomehardware. We've broken 1,000 live viewers.
That's a milestone.
This is unprecedented. It's a milestone. And it's time to celebrate. I'm gonna also pound the rest of my beer, which is far less impressive.
2 sips. Hey, every bit counts. It's the thought that counts.
But there it is. I have just finished my Orgasmic Orange from Indian Wells Brewing Company, which was not bad.
It was heady.
Fortunately, I'm moving on to something that I know I will enjoy, which is Double Nut Brown.
That's some good shit right
This is
there.
from Mammoth Brewing Company, up there in NorCal. Kind of want to go to Mammoth now, actually. I haven't gone yet this year.
Is that a Mammoth beer?
Yeah, it's from Mammoth.
Oh yeah.
Double Nut Brown. I also like the
Hazelnut brown.
just the nut brown from
Rogue? No. That's hazelnut.
AleSmith from.
Oh yes, yes.
Where did the bottle opener?
Oh, right here. Sorry. Now I got it.
Speaking of this bottle opener that I'm about to use to open this beer, if you guys enjoy the content that we produce and you want to help support us and also get yourself some nice merch, check out my store, paulshardware.net, where you can get this thumbscrew black zip-up hoodie, as well as lots of other merchandise. I am wearing this right now, and I can tell you it is incredibly comfortable and high quality.
It looks comfortable.
And I love it.
I want to be in your jacket.
It's so soft.
Yeah.
Other stuff also available there, so if you want a mug or a mouse pad or anything like that, check it out, buy stuff. Also, you can buy stuff on Kyle's store, which is located at bitwit.tech/store. Also, lots of high-quality merchandise, shirts, mugs, and pint glasses. Damn it, I'm slurring my speech already. So thanks to you guys for supporting us. Viewers. And if you buy stuff, we will shout your name out at the end of this half of the show.
Bartholomew!
And
Just like
to
that.
express our thankfulness. All right, I need to prove that I can pour a beer and not make it all terrible. Right? All right,
Yeah.
This is proof.
Well, because you have a normal beer now.
This is proof
Your beer's
that
not
the
out to
Orgasmic
get
whatever was like totally jacked up.
It was. It was a chemical
Right?
imbalance.
Because that was...
That's exactly how you poured the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not do much
And yet it
different
was-
there. Okay.
So you are relieved. You are relieved of your accusations.
I am. All right, cool. What's first? First off, the first segment is hot and heavy hardware.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about some computer hardware.
I like.
Usually, hot and heavy hardware is about computer hardware that you can buy, and that's not necessarily the case this time, but what the hell, we do segments, so I had to break things up somehow. The AMD Ryzen 5 2600 at least an engineering sample of the Ryzen 5 2600, has apparently appeared on the Geekbench database. So as is often the case with early unreleased hardware, people get their hands on it and they test it. They test it on systems that are connected to the internet with software that reports the results of tests to the internet. And what do you know? You end up with early results like this. So the actual processor name is listed here as AMD Ryzen ZD 2600 BBM68AF underscore blah blah. The 2600 is there in the name though. It is a 6-core 12-thread processor, so pretty safe bet that this was a Ryzen 2 2600 CPU that was tested here. It's listed with a base frequency of 3.6 gigahertz, boost clock of 3.8 gigahertz.
So this is the 1600 successor, correct?
1600 successor, and the 1600 is one of the most popular, and I've recommended it many, many times because it's just a really awesome 6-core 12-thread processor and has often been really, really well priced as well. So this is pretty exciting for anyone who's looking forward to the launch of Ryzen 2, which has been promised already by AMD in April. I feel like it's April 12th, but is that right? I
don't remember. Anyway,
I'm sure we'll confirm that soon. But Ryzen 2 is going to be based on Zen Plus. So Zen is the microarchitecture that AMD was their first big microarchitecture launch in 5, 6, 7 years, back in last year, and it's pretty good. They've improved upon it and also done a bit of a process shrink, I should say, from 14 nanometer, which was the manufacturing process for original Zen, to 12 nanometer. Now, there's also going to be Zen 2 that has been talked about by AMD, and that's a 7 nanometer process. That's further out in the future, so we're not talking about that quite yet. But there is some potential confusion between Ryzen 2 versus Zen 2. Ryzen 2 uses Zen Plus, 12 nanometer, and it's launching in April. So the exciting thing here is that this processor, the 2600, 3.4 gigahertz base clock, 3.8 gigahertz boost clock. Please bear in mind this is all early information, and this is all based just on this Geekbench score. So we're not verifying this. AMD hasn't come out and said this is all true, but it seems to be pretty reasonable for what's being said here. Now, the actual score is what we're going to talk about here because it's pretty impressive. 4,269 is the score here. Now, there's also, I have here for comparison, just the baseline score for a Ryzen 5 1600. This is just the non-overclocked out-of-the-box score, which has a base clock of 3.2 gigahertz and a boost clock of 3.6 gigahertz. So the 2600 has a 200 megahertz frequency benefit.
Right, out of the box.
Over the 1600 out of the box. Yeah. However, we're not necessarily looking at just that same linear performance increase. We're looking at perhaps an instructions per clock improvement as well, which is cool. So this score, 4,269 versus the 1600 score of 3,896, is a 9.5% increase. The multi-core score here of 20,102 versus the 1600 score of 17,433 is a 15.3% increase. And bear in mind that the actual frequency difference, if you're just looking at a percentage difference, is about 5.5%. So if you were looking at a linear increase in clock speed of a 5% boost, then you would expect a 5% performance increase if you're looking at the same architecture and the same instructions per clock. So the deduction here is that Ryzen 2 seems to have better instructions per clock than Ryzen 1.
Right.
So that's cool. And you would hope so. You would hope so because because they have had more time to refine the architecture, and also they're doing again a little bit of a node shrink from 14 nanometer down to 12 nanometer, which can improve die area as well as efficiency a lot of the time. So
is a second gen Ryzen also the one where they're like improving the memory channels and higher speed memory support
for the platform. So technically, like,
I mean, you would, again, that's something you would hope, and probably also something that you would expect AMD to put some focus on, because memory
so
speed
reliant on it.
does have such an impact on Ryzen's performance. You would think that, because, you know, the memory manufacturers, like you look at G-Skill's press releases, they're every couple weeks or every month, they come out with a new press release that says, G-Skill has now launched the fastest memory ever. We now have a 4700 speed kit, or whatever they're putting out.
Yeah.
And that means that G-Skill is putting out memory that, when paired with a processor that supports that speed, will
hit that
reliably hit that every time.
Yeah.
But the processor needs to be able to hit that. So it's definitely seems to be worth AMD's while to invest more in more stability for higher speed memory, because if that's really going to scale up their performance, then that makes them look better against Intel, and also
so
provides a wider range of compatibility for anyone who's looking for memory to pair with their new Ryzen 2 processor. So there you go.
That's cool.
Also mentioned in the article is just the comparison here that if we're looking at a 200 megahertz frequency increase with the 1600 from the 1600 to the 2600, that you might reasonably assume that the same frequency increase would apply to other CPUs in the lineup. So if the 1800X is going to be replaced in Ryzen 2 with the 2800X, then maybe we'll see a 4.2 gigahertz clock speed with that, as opposed to the 4 gigahertz that the 1800X has. And then, of course, also to be mentioned here is that Precision Boost 2 is a refinement of original Precision Boost that AMD has worked on with Ryzen 2, and that also could be affecting this performance. So we might not be looking at a straight instructions per clock improvements, or this might not all be attributable directly to that. It might also be to efficiency improvements of Precision Boost as far as how it's ramping up and ramping down and that kind of thing. So, of course, more to be talked about with that as we get closer to launch, but still cool little story there, and hopefully that plays out, because if we're really looking at a decent amount of IPC performance improvement, then that means AMD is going to be even further pushing Intel when it comes to competition.
I feel like the 2600 at 3.8 gigahertz of a boost, overclocking that, we should be able to see over 4 gigahertz. Which, if you guys remember Ryzen 1, only the 1800X was one of the few chips that was like a surefire way to hit 4 gigahertz, 4.0 gigahertz on Ryzen, on the AM4 platform. And now, potentially, we're going to see Ryzen 5 chips topping the clock speeds that we were seeing with an 1800X, which is cool. And that's one of the things that they emphasized at the AMD CES Tech Day and stuff, that Ryzen 2 was going to emphasize higher clock speeds throughout and better overclocking performance to sort of catch up with the types of frequencies that we're seeing with Intel platforms. So, it's exciting.
And you would expect that also to narrow the gap when it comes to GPU performance, which is niche when it comes to comparisons as it is when it comes to like Coffee Lake versus Ryzen. But it's still one of the areas where AMD lags behind, but you would expect it to catch up a bit. Excuse me, if this is actually the case.
Yeah.
Let's move on, though, to next story. Samsung has managed to cram 30 terabytes of SSD storage onto a single 2.5-inch drive.
I want now.
There it is.
I don't want the price, though.
Yeah, so this is undeniably, unquestionably an enterprise drive. So the Samsung PM1643 is what we're looking at right here. Enterprise drives always have catchy names for their SKUs. 30.72 terabytes of SSD in a single 2.5-inch drive, as well as 40 gigs of DDR4.
What?
Yeah. This SSD has more DDR4 than, like, the majority of the people watching this video right now.
Oh my god.
Like 32 gigs is what I have in most of my systems that I use for video editing and stuff like that. So this is 40
Oh my god.
40 gigs of DDR4 that are integrated there as well.
It's for Caching?
Yeah,
Or what is
so
this for?
it's powered by 9 flash controllers driving 32 1 terabyte packages of NAND flash. Each package contains 16-layer NAND, 3-bit per cell VNAND, 512 gigabits per package. 40 gigs of DDR4 memory also is in there, and that's kind of weird too, according to the article. Those are 8 gigabit chips built using through silicon vias, or via. I've never heard of this before. I'm just repeating what the article says.
Yeah.
TSVs, but basically it's so that the DDR4 RAM chips can be stacked vertically. They're assembled into 10 packages, each of 4 gigabytes. The interface is 12 gigabits per second SAS, or serial attached SCSI. Actual performance, 400,000 IOPS read, which is pretty nice. 50,000 IOPS write. And did Hero just move the...
I think he's
No, it's okay.
he's doing things. Oh, he's trying to swipe it.
Hero, what are you doing down there? I'm just worried if he bumps the camera. I thought he did, but
He went back down.
all right, he
chilling.
laid back down. Here's fine. Here's
He's
fine. Yeah. So sorry. 50,000 random write IOPS, 21,000 random read IOPS. So you know, read and write performance. So 2,100 megabytes per second sequential read, 1,700 megabytes per second sequential write. So that's right up there with a pretty decent, not the highest end M.2 NVMe drive like a 960 Pro, but
Right.
up there with the middle of the road ones. So that's pretty good, especially considering the overall capacity of the drive. Durability is 1 full drive write per day, basically 30 terabyte drive writes per day over the 5-year lifetime of the drive. And apparently they just started manufacturing these back in January, so they're not available yet. But they've announced and confirmed the 30 terabyte version, a 15.36 terabyte version, 7.68 terabyte version, 3.84 terabyte version. I feel like I should just round these.
Right.
8
4,
terabyte.
2, 1.
4 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 1 terabyte, and 800 gigabytes, essentially. It's really 1.92 terabyte. Anyway, no price and availability yet, which is what I was most sad about. But what I did
I'll be
do,
sad when it comes.
Yes.
When I find out how much one of these
and it's
drives
enterprise.
costs.
It's enterprise. It's beyond the reach of most of us. But
Right.
it's fun to look at these drives and be like, look what they were able to do with that in its 2.5 inch drive. At what point will we see 2.5 inch
trickle down to the
10
mainstream?
terabyte SSDs
Right.
be more readily available to us? For that, we
Sure.
need NAND prices overall to come down.
Indeed.
And who knows when that's actually going to happen. But they've been more reasonable compared to memory prices, which is good. I did price speculation on this, and this is totally just like some napkin, math or whatever. But the Samsung 4 terabyte SSDs, like the mainstream consumer ones right now on Newegg,
Non-NVMe or NVMe?
we're talking SATA 2.5
Okay,
inch
SATA.
SSDs are
Okay.
$1,400 to $1,800 for a 4 terabyte one. And they have one on sale. Anyway, so I averaged that to about $1,600, right? Which is about $400 per terabyte average. So times 30 terabytes would be $12,000 for this drive. And that's on the really low end. That's comparing it to the prices of mainstream consumer drives.
Oh, it's going to be way more than
Enterprise drives typically cost double that.
Yeah.
Like
Be 20, 30
Intel's
grand.
enterprise drive was like $2,400 for the 4 terabyte version. So anyway, we're talking really expensive stuff, but it's cool to know they're able to do it, and hopefully at some point in the future we'll have access to something like
They
that
have
too.
the technology.
And you don't have to work in a data center to actually
Data's gonna date.
work with that kind of stuff. All right, let's talk about Intel and their discrete GPU. Yes, for anyone who's concerned about graphics card prices and cryptocurrency mining and all that kind of stuff, maybe the introduction of another player in the discrete GPU market might help that. So Intel unveiling some of this information just recently, which they did at the IEEE International Solid State Circuits Solid State Circuits Conference, the ISSCC, held by the IEEE in San Francisco.
It's a lot of acronyms right there.
I wanted to make another
My brain
acronym in San Francisco.
Just broke from all those acronyms.
In SFCA, USA, Earth. Okay. Anyway,
BTW.
that's where Intel revealed a little bit more info about this. And I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. Again, this article is linked in the video
We'll be
description.
explaining all of this in the next 5
Let me
minutes.
explain what all this stuff means. I have a vague idea.
You guys have time,
But
right?
it's based on 14 nanometer lithography. I can at least say that.
Is it based on Vega graphics?
No, it is not.
Because, Raja Kaduri
Because
is
Raja
probably
Kaduri,
the mastermind behind all
formerly
of this.
of Radeon Technologies Group, does now work for Intel. And that's a good question, because that's the thought that you might have initially looking at this article is like, oh, is this all the stuff that Raja has been working on? And the answer is probably not, because the way that development of a product like this works, you don't get to the point that they're at with this
Within months or even
within
a
the
year.
amount of time that Raja has worked with Intel.
Yeah.
They have probably been getting him up to speed with what they've been doing with this development.
Exactly.
And then he's probably been coming in and be like, no, you don't understand. You have to do it this way.
But his thing's probably years down the
And
line.
then they're probably like, dude, Vega was fucking lame. So what about? No, never mind. No, they're probably not saying it.
We're getting very political here.
Point being, there is a little bit more information on what Intel's working on, so that's pretty cool. What they displayed, and they actually did have a prototype that they demoed at the event, was a 2-chip solution. The first chip contains the key components of the GPU itself and a system agent.
2 chips on one product?
Yeah, the 2 chips that were paired with each other to both do separate tasks.
Okay.
Basically, rather than something like an SoC that integrated everything all together.
Okay.
So, the GPU and a system agent on one chip. Second chip was an FPGA, or field programmable gate array, that interfaces with the system bus, and that probably goes along with Intel's desire to make this flexible solution that they can sell to as many people as possible, with the ability to flexibly integrate the GPU in the way that they want to. Not to put too fine a point on it. Anyway, the GPU component itself is based on Intel's current Gen 9 architecture, so it features 3 execution unit clusters. But we should mention, if you're looking at through this article and being like, execution units, like my GPU has this many stream processors or whatever like that, there's really no viable comparison right now between this and current generation discrete graphics cards from from Nvidia or AMD. Mm-hmm. It's really just sort of comparing this to what they've been working on with their iGPUs up till now. There is a double clock mechanism that they talk about that doubles the boost clock speeds beyond what the current Gen 9 EUs can handle with Intel iGPUs. So that's cool to know that they're working on stuff to vastly increase the turbo frequency. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot to say. We're probably looking at 2 to 3 years before Intel actually releases a discrete GPU that you can go out and buy yourself. But it is in the works, and I imagine as they move along with developments, at certain times they'll let us know how they're doing. And hopefully, in the long run, this can contribute to more variety, more options when it comes to graphics cards in the marketplace. And usually that's good for everyone.
Yeah.
Usually. I'm not 100% sure, but
waiting for the next,
don't want to predict the future.
I have a strong feeling that Intel will eventually tap into gaming GPUs.
Oh yeah.
I have a feeling that them hiring Raja is really good for all of us.
That or just the crossover with cryptocurrency now is the development of graphics cards up till now has had a variety of implementations. For a while now, it's not just been make a 3D accelerated chip for gaming. There have been other things you can do with it when it comes to general purpose GPU compute stuff. But the introduction of cryptocurrency as well. Plus, I have to imagine the skyrocketing prices of graphics cards has made it an even more tantalizing market for a company like Intel, who has the means when it comes to development to get into.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. Last story here in Hot and Heavy Hardware is from EK, a sincere and heartfelt apology for their X399 Threadripper water blocks.
Okay.
Were you aware of this?
No, I missed it.
I did a video on the X399 Threadripper water block, and it was actually it coincided with several like catastrophic failures of various things that happened around here, and I ended up actually making a video about how everything went wrong rather than an actual
block.
like review, like an actual testing of the product or whatever.
That's more interesting.
But fortunately, others did put the EK Supremacy Evo Threadripper Edition CPU Waterblock through its paces, and what they actually discovered was that it was not really all that great of a performer.
Really?
In some cases, as much as 10 to 20% less performance than what you would get with something like just a standard
EK Waterblock.
No, like a standard, like the all-in-ones for water cooling that they were sending out with Threadripper. Yeah, it depended though, and there were different reviews that got different results. But basically, EK has acknowledged that the performance of this unit was not up to par, and certainly when compared with some other purpose-built Threadripper blocks, was really below the level of performance that would be expected. That's not to say it's not functional or anything like that. And if you do happen to have one, it's not going to work for you or anything.
Right.
But
it just won't be.
Level of performance is not as was expected. So what they have done is they are relaunching a new version of the block that will be available very soon. And here's the actual side by side. So first off, there's your Ryzen Threadripper, and Threadripper has 4 Ryzen cores, 4 Ryzen dies that are here, and here, right? Sort of spread out.
Yeah.
So this was their original design, which was actually basically just a sort of a copy over of their EK Supremacy Evo design, which is used in Intel blocks and that kind of thing. And the way that works is you've got a unit that goes on top of this and sort of a narrow gap that shoots the water down right here at the center of this fin array, and it pushes out across the fins on either side. And it's a pretty effective design, but not necessarily as effective for Threadripper due to the position of the dies and where the most effective cooling was happening with this. So this is the new design that they've done. So you can see, for example, they've actually changed the direction of the flow from being 90 degrees basically from this direction to this direction. You can also see a gap in the center, and I'm guessing what they're going to have is that they're going to have the jet plate or whatever shoot the water down across this way, and then it'll go out this way, and then of course accumulates in the sides and goes out the out hole. And that's how that works. So they've redesigned it, they've made it better, and they put out this this actual apology page, which is on their news website, which is linked in the video description, where they said, hey, basically we're saying we acknowledge that the first product we launched was not that great.
And
Speaking of the first product that they launched, existing blocks are on a fair discount, as they said. I looked at the website, $53 if you want the older, crappier Evo Threadripper water block. If you're looking to build a water-cooled system, but you don't want the best performance.
So it's like the super budget version, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they'll probably sell them at that price, because typically blocks like this cost upwards of $100.
Yeah.
$74 for the all-nickel version, so a little bit more, but still discounted. They have a new set of blocks coming out. The pictures of that are kind of at the top here.
Is there any sort of like anyone who bought the old shitty one gets a free upgrade, or even further discounting because they, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's you might be one of two people. So the old crappy design they used for the block itself, and then they've also been developing monoblocks. And a monoblock covers the CPU and is usually larger, and will also do liquid cooling over the VRMs, or the power delivery, which is very useful, especially for the high-end boards for like X399 and X299, because if you overclock, the VRMs can generate a lot of heat, and keeping them cool can be effective for maintaining high overclocks. So the only monoblock that they launched with the old crappy design was the Asus one. So the Asus ROG Zenith. They launched a monoblock for that had the old design. If you purchase that, you can apply for a free upgrade to the new version of that.
Nice.
If you bought the just water block, then you can get a €25 or $25 coupon code. And that is if you bought it before the 24th of November 2017. Now, I'm not sure why there's that date cutoff of the 24th of November, which is also pre-Black Friday, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure if they cut off sales at that point because they knew that it wasn't working properly or what, but it seems like their extension of helpfulness to people who bought just the block is not quite as generous as what they're doing to people who bought the monoblock.
Right.
But maybe this ties in with how many of them they actually sold or when they sold them or that kind of thing. So who knows? Anyway, point is there's a new version and it's better, and I guess they said they were sorry. Okay, let's move on.
They made peace.
To tech news, which is roughly the same as what we've just been talking about, but it's a different segment.
More
It's
of the
okay.
same good stuff.
All right, so
Here we go.
we've been talking a decent amount about the AMD APUs that just recently launched in the past couple weeks, the 2200G and 2400G, and there's plenty of questions from people who either already bought a motherboard but were waiting to buy a CPU, or who are buying a motherboard that's maybe been sitting on a shelf for a while, or maybe isn't updated, because motherboards that were sold, say, over the past year since Ryzen first launched have a BIOS that is compatible with all of the first generation Ryzen chips, your Ryzen 3s, Ryzen 5s, and Ryzen 7s, and that's a decent number of processors. But there are new APUs that include Vega graphics, which also use the video outs on a lot of motherboards that haven't been used up till now. Now, there have actually been some APUs that have launched on this platform that use not Zen architecture. They are, is it Bristol Ridge? I'm blanking on this right now. Yes, Bristol Ridge. So, I feel like I'm not explaining this well. If you have a motherboard with a BIOS that's older and not compatible with these new Ryzen APUs, then you're kind of in a situation where you have a motherboard, you have an APU, but you can't get them to work together. Because if you take the new APU and put it in the motherboard's like, I don't recognize this.
My BIOS is old. It doesn't know
newer,
you.
and my BIOS is old. Now, that motherboard might be perfectly compatible with that new APU.
Right.
But until you can update its BIOS,
It's just a software thing, yeah.
then it won't recognize it. And
Right.
you can't update the BIOS in most situations unless you have a processor to install to get the motherboard functional in order to update it. So that's kind of the catch-22 that some people
Is
find themselves
this very similar to the fact that, like, when I first popped my review sample APU into my B350 motherboard, I got a black screen and it didn't really, like, boot until I popped, like, my 1800X in, booted fine, updated the BIOS, and then once I swapped that out for the APU, it worked perfectly fine.
Yes.
Same sort of thing.
That is absolutely the exact situation.
Yeah.
Now, you were in a situation where, like, let me take my 1800X over here
Exactly.
and install
I
it
had
real
an
quick
inventory.
in order to update the BIOS and get everything set up the way
Most
it should
people
be.
don't have the luxury of
But
doing.
yeah, most people don't happen to have another
AM4
AM4 CPU
on.
lying around.
Right.
So, what this article is talking about is that AMD has started a program that will basically loan you a temporary CPU, and actually it is an APU, which means it's a CPU with graphics, in order to update your motherboard so you can use your new Ryzen 2200G or 2400G, or maybe another CPU that they come out in the future beyond that.
Right.
I'm imagining this will also apply to Ryzen 2 stuff, because we're going to have the same situation when Ryzen 2 processors come out, because Ryzen 2 processors will be compatible with existing X370 and B350 motherboards, and also
Right.
A320, whatever that stupid one is. But you'll need that BIOS update. So prior to now, your options were... what I would usually recommend to people is find a local PC repair shop, because that's usually the best bet. You can go in there, bring your motherboard, be like, hey, can you update my BIOS?
Right.
And by the way, if you're a PC repair shop owner or you run that, I would highly recommend that you offer this as a free service to people.
Yeah.
Because it's a simple thing for you to do. It takes 10 minutes, maybe.
Right.
And that will get people to come back to your store. I would just say consider it, or
Definitely.
at most charge $5 or $10 for it.
Yeah.
I've heard of PC repair shops charging, 5, 10, 20, maybe $40 for it.
I think that's fair.
Depending on the situation. But yeah, you bring it in there, they pop the CPU and they update the BIOS, and then you're good to go.
Right.
Other than that, your option was to happen to have a motherboard that was fancy and newer and has a BIOS updating mechanism that you can do without a CPU and memory installed, which includes some ASUS motherboards, and I know some Gigabyte motherboards can do it. I'm not sure beyond that if any of the other manufacturers have integrated that, but that's more rare, so it's harder to say here's what you should do.
Yeah.
Anyway, the CPU that they'll lend out is a Bristol Ridge APU, the A6-9500, which is a dual-core 3.5 gigahertz processor. They will send it to you once you've provided a qualifying APU serial number and other information. I'm not sure what the other information is. The street price of that APU that they will send you is $72, in case you were wondering. They will also send you RMA paperwork so you can return the CPU after you've updated your BIOS.
So what CPU is it? Sorry, the model?
It is the A6-9500, $72. A6-9500. It's Bristol Ridge, so it uses pile driver, whatever the last name, excavator. They had bulldozer, pile driver, excavator. I forget which version, but whatever the final revision is of the last generation.
That's just been converted to an AM4 chip.
Yeah, they made an AM4 compatible APU that fits.
So they've made this chip specifically just for this.
No,
purpose.
it's been out for a while. This has been out since Ryzen launched.
Oh.
Yeah, there have been APUs that you can get on the AM4 platform. They're just crappy.
They're just using the
older
architecture.
You would just never recommend them because they're using 6-7-year-old architecture, and they're not that great. So
okay,
yeah, there you go. Okay, ass blast, bulldozer, pile driver, excavator, and ass blaster. That's what we got up to. They'll send you RMA paperwork so you can return the CPU to them after you've updated your BIOS.
Stay sharp.
They do not require a deposit or a credit card, at least according to the article for right now. So it's a little bit on the honor system, but if you guys happen to take advantage of this from AMD, please return the processor because you don't want to be a jerk.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
Don't abuse their kindness, basically.
Let's talk about AMD EPYC Rome rumors. And this is a PC Perspective article, which is derived from a WCCF Tech article. So
it's equal parts trustworthy.
Usually WCCF Tech, we'd be like, hey, we're not so sure about this. PC Perspective is usually pretty solid.
Slaps their credibility.
The fact
stamp
that Ryan, I'm sorry, actually this is Scott. This article is from Scott. The fact that Scott decided that this was viable enough to bring over from WCCF Tech, though, I think indicates that it's fairly reliable and also fairly interesting. So, AMD's EPYC is their codename for their enterprise level server processors. Basically, the enterprise version of AMD Threadripper. And those are based on the same Ryzen cores as Threadripper. It's a different platform, but a lot of the hardware, a lot of the core technology is functionally the same. So as we are expecting Ryzen 2, as we are expecting Zen 2 to come out, we're also expecting, probably a parallel improvements or updates or upgrades on the EPYC platform as well. So Rome is the code name of the next generation platform, and according to these rumors, Rome will be based on the 7-nanometer manufacturing process, and will include 64-core processor design. So 64 cores and 128 threads on a single package processor, which is pretty huge, pretty amazing. Right now, EPYC goes up to 32 cores and 64 threads, and Threadripper, of course, the high-end desktop, but still made for consumers, has 16-core, 32-thread processors, which are super awesome in and of themselves. And we've kind of wondered, will they bring the 32-core thread option or something like that to the Threadripper platform? And based on this, my guess at this point would be probably not going beyond 16 cores with the current generation, but if they launch an updated series of CPUs for Threadripper, like a Threadripper 2 or something like that, that's still compatible with their existing TR4 socket and everything, then you might see a 32-core high-end desktop mainstream CPU from them. That's a viable possibility. But anyway, the huge thing here is that they're shrinking from 14 nanometers down to 7 nanometers. So that's half. That's cutting the size of the manufacturing process in half from 14 down to 7. Again, please bear in mind that this is not the same as Ryzen 2, which is based on Zen Plus, which is 12 nanometer. But there are 2 different dies for this Rome product line. One is a 12-core per die part, so you have 4 by 4 with 48 cores per package. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, each of the 4, like you remember Threadripper with 4 dies?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4. Each of those dies
There's 12 on each.
would have 12 cores, and all 4 of the dies would make 48 cores total.
Right.
And then there'd be a 16-core, which would be 64 cores per package with 16 cores per die. Now my sort of trickle-down deduction from this here is like, all right now Threadripper is based on 4 of your 8-core Ryzen dies. So if this is true, then Rome is being based on 16-core dies. So that would make me assume that not Ryzen 2, because again, Ryzen 2 is N+, which is 12 nanometer, but whatever the successor to Ryzen 2 is, the next gen after that would potentially have a single 16-core little die. The same, which is like taking your 8-core little die that so many of the Ryzen derivatives, the current gen Ryzen derivatives are based on, and doubling the amount of cores on it while having the manufacturing process size. So that's pretty cool. That's cool to think about. As Scott also points out in the article, having those 2 SKUs, a 16-core and a 12-core, would greatly enhance their yields per wafer, because you have a wafer with a bunch of dies and they cut them all out of it and they test them all, and some work better than others. That means the ones that work the best would be the 16-core ones. Those would go in the 64-core processors, or the 16-core Ryzen 3 3800 plus or whatever, 3800X or whatever you want to call it. But then you'd also have the ability to harvest dies that didn't perform as well, or that had some cores that weren't fully functional, to get 12-core dies out of that, and that's better for your yields. That means you have more viable dies on each wafer that come out of it, and that's always good for making money as a CPU manufacturer. Okay, Rome is due in 2019, so we're looking at next year.
Nice.
Cool. All right, finally, last story here is about Nvidia Turing, and we talked a little bit last week in the rumor and speculation and really sketchy kind of way about what might have been Nvidia Ampere, which we were talking about is maybe the in-between follow-up for the next generation of GPUs that Nvidia might be coming out with. This article would seem to indicate that maybe some of those rumors were based on Turing rather than Ampere. We can't say at this point 100% that Ampere isn't actually a thing, but because Reuters actually has reported on this, it does seem like Turing is a thing, and it definitely seems like this is possibly what the rumors from last week were talking about, as opposed to the rumored Ampere series of made for gaming GPUs.
So we might skip Ampere?
Ampere might not be a thing at all. Ampere might just be a made up rumor that turns out to be nonsense.
I see.
Or these could be both going on at the same time. We're not sure. Now, I watched, again, a Gamers Nexus video earlier today about this, and Gamers Nexus apparently got tipped off to this a while ago and have been dropping Turing hints in some of their videos and stuff like this.
Sprinkling little skittles.
Which is very fancy.
Trail of candy.
Still does not completely rule out the possibility of an Ampere gaming-based GPU, but Turing does appear to be focused more on cryptocurrency mining, which hey might be just as good a news as a new series of gaming GPUs to gamers as it is, because if there's going to be anything that seriously provides competition to gaming graphics cards being used for mining, it's going to be purpose-built GPUs that are made for mining that are better at it and more efficient, and that's the only thing that'll work for them.
Right.
Like the talk that's been done of like, oh, we're going to make mining graphics cards that are made for mining, and we're going to take the video outs off of them and that kind of thing. Like, that's a means of the graphics card manufacturer minimizing the amount of money that they invest into into producing the graphics card. But that's less appealing to miners, because miners are looking at the whole life cycle of the card. They're looking at buying it now, mining with it
Selling it
for
later.
X amount of time to get as many hashes as they can,
Right.
and then selling it when they're done with it.
Sure.
And they're probably going to sell to a gamer. And if they have a mining specific card that has no video outs, that reduces the viability of reselling it. Obviously, this isn't universal or anything like that. But point being, Turing is named after the British scientist Alan Turing. You may be familiar. He's credited with leading the team of mathematicians that broke the Nazi Enigma cryptography.
Oh. Okay.
Also, the Turing test, which is often used to determine whether you're a robot or a human. Sorry, my dogs are freaking out right now. Puppies, hold on.
Your wife must be home.
I think my wife is home.
Yeah. It's okay. I wish anyone got that excited when I got home.
I'm trying to mess with their sound levels here.
Just make us sound like robots.
There they go.
Hello. This is
Okay.
your Turing test.
Brief interruption by the dogs.
Bork, 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 bork.
All right, so a couple quotes from the article here. Nvidia Turing could be manufactured at a low enough cost against GeForce branded products and in high enough scales to help bring down their prices and save the PC gaming ecosystem. It could have an ASIC-like disruptive impact on the graphics card market. And that's referring to the original the original popularity of mining Bitcoin on GPUs, which was thwarted by the introduction of ASICs, which were much more efficient at mining Bitcoin, which killed the viability of mining it with GPUs, which only came back once altcoins and Ethereum and other coins that could be mined with GPUs
Right.
again started to get more popular,
Right.
combined with also the increased acceptance and profitability of crypto mining. Anyway, there's no word on which GPU architecture Turing would be based on, whether it's Pascal, current generation, or Volta, next generation. Nvidia is expected to launch its entire family of next generation GeForce GTX 2000 series Volta graphics cards in 2018.
Okay.
That's
That's
a
this year.
very broad statement, but hey, Tech Power Up, they probably know what they're
I
talking
feel
about.
like they're due. I mean, it's been like 2 years since the GTX 1080 launched.
Yeah, it's been way too long. So they're going to come out with something. They have something in the works. We'll keep talking about the possibilities until we can say, yes, this is exactly what they will do. And
It's got to be hard though to be Nvidia right now, right? Or any GPU manufacturer. to
no,
be-
it doesn't. It's really easy.
No?
It's like, hey, our products selling off the shelves for way more than they're intended to be sold for.
Okay,
That's
I
really-
mean,
that's
I
really-
mean to market it towards a gaming audience, which they've traditionally done in years past. I mean, GeForce has always been sort of a gaming forward brand or family of product, and for them to be like, you know, all right, and like Jen-Hsun come up on stage in his leather jacket, we got the 2020 or the 2080 here, retailing for the low price of $1,300. Like zero claps in the
Yeah.
audience, like the one guy.
No, they definitely.
Like, how do you market a
They-
gaming-centric GPU right now?
They certainly have.
What are they going to do?
They should have a vested interest in maintaining their audience of gamers, because that's what they've built their business up on by now.
Yeah.
And you know, I would expect, and I don't mean this to be insulting in any way to anyone who mines cryptocurrency, but people who mine cryptocurrency are going to go where they can get the most efficient mining and the best bang for their buck. And if it turns out that the hardware market veers in a direction where suddenly cryptocurrency miners are going to be investing in these products that are made for mining versus these products that are made for gaming, that's when we will see gaming graphics cards become more reasonable in price.
I hope so.
And I think that would be the ideal situation, because then cryptocurrency miners who want to mine cryptocurrency and make money, and more power to them for
Everyone wins.
making money, can
Sure.
buy products and do what they want and not affect the price of gaming graphics cards for people who just want to buy
And that
a
makes gamers
GPU
happy.
and play some games.
Right.
So hopefully that's what we come out with. Speaking of gaming graphics cards, though, my final segment of today is kind of a cop out, but I just wanted to go shopping with you guys. What do you think?
Let's do it. Let's go shopping.
We talk about the prices of stuff. So what does stuff cost?
Particularly GPUs.
We've jumped over here to Newegg.
So let's type in GTX 1070.
Let's go.
I want to see what a GTX
Use
1070
the,
costs right now.
I forget how Newegg works. Where's video cards?
Go to desk to
Peripherals.
no, go to components. You have to go to the.
I was in systems. So
We used to work here.
Video cards.
We
and
used
video
to work
devices.
here. Now we don't even know how to use the website.
Desktop graphics cards. We're drilling
go.
down. Oh,
Power-
Let's go power
Power
search.
search is good.
Gotta use the power search.
Of course.
Who wants to have some?
That's what I always do. I always use the Newegg
Because power search, you can be like, look at all of these different video cards that I can choose from.
Oh my god, what the heck is going on?
I don't know. Heroes looking.
butt was touching my leg.
Oh well, he wanted butt
I
scratches.
touched
So
dog
what
butt.
we're looking at 1080.
Sure.
1080. All right, let's see what 1080s cost on Newegg right now.
800.
Now, if you ever go shopping on Newegg, there's these radio buttons at the top. There's Newegg and there's All Sellers. The All Sellers radio button, that's basically like Hitler. You want to avoid that. Like, screw that.
Go with the Newegg.
Stupid marketplace sellers. You guys are all assholes.
Oh, that's actually. Oh, those are all out of stock.
All right, so we've selected Newegg here, so we're only getting legit Newegg offerings, and we've sorted by lowest price. And it looks like
Four options, and they're all out of
What?
stock. They're all out of stock.
I'm so sad.
So Newegg.
What?
So maybe you should keep the radial option open for all sellers.
Why are there
because
no-
Newegg cannot keep anything in stock. If you click on all sellers,
But there aren't even any SKUs here. Like you should be seeing
Every brand.
An Asus Strix GTX 1080,
yeah, right.
but out of stock here. But why can't?
PNY, EVGA, there's nothing.
All right,
They're just completely drained dry.
moving.
So that means all of these are from different sellers than Newegg, right?
yeah, not Newegg.
And these are all $800-900.
So
Upwards.
view details. We have an $800 add to cart. All right, $800 bucks right
Wow.
now. You can get a 1084.
Wow.
Looks like it's in stock and add to cart from platinummicro.com. Sounds like they sell robot hookers. That's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, that's the low price for the $800 1080.
Good lord.
How about a TI? What do you got for a TI right now? Oh, 11 hundo.
My god.
11 hundo. Does Newegg have any?
Wow.
Can I get any legit sales from Newegg? So this is the crazy thing. Newegg has overpriced the 1080 Ti to
820.
820, which isn't that much of a markup. Honestly, they should be 700 to 800.
I mean, yeah,
usually, except for the
comparatively to-
really highest end ones.
All the other ones, yeah.
So these aren't crazy marked up right now. They're definitely more expensive than they should be. But go back to all sellers, and then suddenly you have
Thousands.
$1,100. So I can actually buy this Zotac one from any world for $1,100.
No.
right.
Nope. I wouldn't do it.
Let's see what
I'd never
PC
do
Part Picker has to say. Let's check that out. You can go over here to individual parts on PC Part Picker. Let's check memory prices first of all. If I want to go and get me some DDR4 3000, some solid, decently fast, not entry level, but decently fast, perfectly adequate for a Ryzen build or an Intel build.
I'd say $200.
You're gonna want a 16 gig kit. I feel like that's your, 8 gigs is more entry level at this point.
Right.
And then that's about it, right? That's all you really need. All right, $170 for that right now. That's for a Team Dark kit, which doesn't look terrible.
Yeah.
This picture is terrible. But all right, $170. Still crazy expensive. Still double what it was a year ago. But anyway, let's go back to graphics cards. Take a look. Take a look. See here, and I want to check out the. Let's look at an RX 580. I mean, I haven't even bothered to look at a 580 in so long because I just assume it's all terrible.
And it is $400.
$400.
These were $250.
$250 is what you should be spending.
They were $250.
$250 to $300, and that's on Super Bays, which is out of stock.
Super Biz.
Newegg actually has this for $400. No, it's
$7.
What?
Oh, I can't. Why are you putting us through this right now, Paul? This is like.
I want to
like
experience
torture.
what everyone else is experiencing while they're trying to shop for graphics cards.
I feel like
right now.
Alex and Clockwork Orange, like you're just forcing me to like,
Just keep your eyes peeled
like
Yeah.
I keep. It's a nightmare. It's a living, breathing
Should I
nightmare.
even bother going to Amazon? I was gonna go to Amazon too.
I've checked recently. It's all the same shit.
I feel like Amazon is even more of like a
It's
a
even
shit
worse.
show because they have an even
Crazier
worse
sellers.
marketplace than Newegg does.
Definitely.
So that's
It's no better.
that's horrible.
Oh my god.
All right, I feel bad now.
I feel nauseous. I feel like my stomach's in knots.
I was like, oh, we're gonna explore here. Maybe we'll find a reasonable deal.
And we'll be able to
people.
share it with all of our live viewers. No, there is no hope.
All right, we're taking one more look at a GTX 1060 6 gig. No, start by lowest price. All right, so the EVGA
1060
SC
Oh my god. Price of a 1070.
Literally, like honestly, the same price as a 1070 should be. All right, $20 less than what the MSRP of a 1070 should be.
Even then.
And that's there's such a huge gap from the 1060 to the
performance-wise?
1070.
Oh.
Like that's wow. Okay. I feel bad now. I feel bad.
Did you really just have
Sorry.
to pour the salt in the
Traumatizing.
wound? Did you have to pour the salt in the wound, Paul? We already knew it was bad, and now we won't get sleep at night.
Because sometimes, like your reality check, you're like, man, everything's so horrible right now.
But
No,
maybe it's
I
not.
haven't actually looked at stuff for a week or so.
And then you look, oh fuck, that confirms
You know,
every fear I had.
Bitcoin price has dropped a bit and has been kind of dabbling around. Okay. I'm sorry, everyone. I really wish we were in a better situation when it comes to these prices, and I hope it gets fixed soon. Because
It sucks.
selling, cause yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's not much else to say.
I
Other than
don't
this.
Don't have anything more to add to that. All right,
much
let's run down some donation comments because thank
do
you
it.
guys for donating. Those of you who have and have been able to. Starting off with Camden Rowe with a $5 donation, says pick Bitwit's nose. That is an interesting solution.
Pick as in
suggestion.
Pick it as your favorite nose of the evening, so you can just point and be like, "I pick you."
All right, I see Hero's nose.
Yep.
I see your nose.
Yep.
I'm going to choose between them. Hero's whimpering and about to leave, so I'll go with your nose.
Thank you.
Hey, I picked
Paul picked my nose.
Kyle's nose.
You picked my nose.
Wow, what a horrible cop-out. All right. MB67,
You're okay.
Mr. Lenticular, Paul 50 USD might not be as big of a baller as 200 USD, but it's not the size of the baller, it's how the baller is being used. Cheers,
Hey.
part 2.
There you
Thank you. Thank you,
That's
sir.
a very generous
50 is
donation.
it's completely super generous of you. Thank you so much.
A very true statement behind it.
And I hope you're independently wealthy. If you're not, take your money back. But no, seriously, thank you.
That's awesome.
Speaking of 200 USD, Majin Vegito.
Hey!
Now I feel bad if I'm mispronouncing your name.
Right?
Majin.
A donation like that, you're like, I want to get every detail about this
Vegito.
person correct.
The
They deserve
200
everything.
200 freaking dollar donation.
Yeah!
Oh my god. LOL. Appreciate all your work, man. I've been watching you guys for a long time. Keep up the good work. As before, take your wives out to dinner on me.
We will.
Well, my wife got home just a little bit ago, and I was under the impression that she was going to make dinner, but I don't see her making dinner, so maybe I will be taking her out momentarily. We shall see. But thank you, like, so much for your crazy high donation, $200.
Yeah, that's epic.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Dude. You the best.
Next up is Benedict T with the $5 donation. Hey, Paul and Kyle, I am looking to buy a second 250 gig SSD. WD has an inexpensive one. Have you guys worked with a WD SSD before? If so, thoughts?
I've seen the reviews on their NVMe ones, the WD Black PCIe versions, and they've been pretty positive.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
And they're good. Like for a 256 gig, you can get it for like $99. Which
Now,
I think is
I know WD had a like sort of a first attempt at SSDs that came out, I feel like I want to say in 2013 or something like that. And those were not horrible, but they were really overpriced at the time, I remember,
right.
for what you got. So
yeah.
maybe double check. Make sure that whatever you're getting a good deal on right now isn't one of those. The stuff they've done more recently in the past 2-3 years has been perfectly adequate. Just make sure you're not getting one of those older, outdated models. Sometimes those can go on sale and for people who still have stock left over, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, WD is a good company overall, and they have a really good RMA system, which I always appreciate. I feel like I have to mention. Anyway, cool trainer Gavin with $5 donation. I'm on Ryzen 3 1300X with a Gigabyte AB350 Gaming 3 board and 2 by 8 gigs Ripjaws 2666 RAM. But in BIOS it says 2133 for RAM and crashes when I restart at 2666. Cool trainer Gavin, you're probably experiencing the classic Ryzen DDR4 memory compatibility issues.
Yeah.
Depending on the memory kit that you have, you might have single rank or you might have dual rank. Ryzen has a there's my wife.
There she is.
Ryzen has a more difficult time with dual rank memory, so I would definitely double check your motherboards, your
BIOS.
ASRock motherboards vendor list of. Oh, the dogs. Sorry about the dog. Hero, stop barking. Okay. Everything's fine.
They're just
So double check the vendor list on there. Just make sure if your RAM is on there or not. If it's not on there, you might just have a RAM kit that is functional at 2066. Probably if you plugged it into an Intel system, you'd be just fine. But you might have a harder time with Ryzen. So it might be something where you want to consider selling the kit you have and buying a new kit or something like that.
You can also try like inputting the timings manually
That's another possibility.
into the BIOS, as well as the voltage, and just making sure that XMP's selected, or not XMP, but making sure that the rated frequency profile within the BIOS is selected for the speed that your kit is rated at. That inputting the voltage and the timings manually has generally helped me. And make sure that your BIOS is updated. Like motherboard manufacturers
Updated
for
BIOS.
AM4 specifically are updating their BIOS all the time, primarily to improve memory compatibility. So I would definitely look at all of those different areas.
You could also potentially loosen your timings. So
Yeah.
if your memory is 2666 with timings of like 16, whatever, you could potentially loosen,
17,
set it to
17.
2066, but then loosen the timings up to 18, whatever.
Sure.
Just try doing that, and you might
that's
be able to
worked
get
for me
yourself
before.
a functional setup. Okay. J. Bell, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a similar question. Also $5 donation. ASRock AB350M Pro 4. 2 4-gig sticks of Corsair Vengeance LPX at 3000. Ryzen 2200G. 256 gig WD Black M.2 NVMe. EVGA BQ 80 plus bronze 500 watt. Thoughts?
It's a pretty
that's a nice,
solid APU system right there. You're primed
good-
for if
good
you wanted to
setup.
upgrade later down the line and pop a discrete in there, you'd be solid. Like you have decent RAM, you have a good power supply to house a discrete card, and a very good foundation with that B350M motherboard.
In particular, if you're running that memory solidly at 2933, which is what the divider should be able to hit with 3000 speed RAM, you're good to go. The thing you'll probably want to upgrade sooner depending on prices, of course, because memory prices suck, but you'll probably hit a wall with your 8 gigs of memory earlier than maybe otherwise, than maybe your limitations with the graphics card. So at some point, you might want to jump from 8 gigs up to a 16 gig kit. And at that point, I would say sell your 2 4 gig sticks and buy 2 8 gig sticks and upgrade that way.
Right.
But nice setup there, Jay. Andrew Schwayer with the $5 Canadian donation. Hey guys, what would be a good CPU for a HTPC or NAS via virtualization with a want of a 1070 or 1080 and a limit of a 650 watt SFX power supply?
You don't need much.
Yeah, you don't need too much for an HTPC or NAS. I would say go with a quad core because quad cores are just a lot more accessible right now. And especially if you're considering virtualization, having more cores is often very helpful for that. So yeah, I would consider some of the Ryzen quad core options that are out there. There's some Ryzen 3s and or maybe one of the low-end Ryzen 5s be a possibility for you.
If you have a 1070 or 1080 in there, it seems like maybe gaming on your HTPC is a possibility in the living room. If that's the case, I would definitely suggest a Ryzen 5 CPU. I would stray away from the Ryzen 3, maybe go with like a Ryzen 5 1600 or something like that. Personally.
All right, VA3MHB with the $10 Canadian. Have you ever tried any Canadian beers? If not, I recommend Molson Canadian Lager. Molson Ice.
Is
I've tried Molson.
Is Moosehead
Molson
Canadian?
Is it? I don't.
Canadians, yeah, owned by Canadians.
So Moosehead.
I used to drink a lot of Moosehead back in the day.
Moosehead.
The Rite Aid next to me always sold Moosehead for very cheap.
I feel like Molson to Canada. Wouldn't Molson to Canada be like what Budweiser is to the United States? Isn't
it's
it
like
kind of like
domestic,
the biggest,
like the big mainstream domestic beer?
Which often, like, and I'll say this about Budweiser a lot, like, Budweiser should get credit for being able to consistently, in large batches, brew their beer with the level of flavor that they're able to do it at. I mean, that's something to be said there. So, anyway, yes, I've definitely had Molson, but I feel like I generally, I don't know, I like the uniqueness of some of the smaller breweries and some of the just different twists that they're able to do. Sometimes take risks with flavors that some of the big breweries aren't able to.
I'm sure America's like rubbed off, or like the U.S. has rubbed off on Canadian some aspects with like craft brewing. I bet there's a lot of good Canadian craft brew out there that I've never explored.
I'm sure there is.
I'm going to use the restroom though.
No, you're not. You're not allowed. Okay, go ahead, Kyle. I release you. Shannon Scott with the $5 Australian. Why are most YouTubers calling the new potential Nvidia cards 2080, not 1180 or 1280 if Ampere is after Volta? Has Nvidia released the official name? Nvidia has not released the official name. Everything that's been discussed has been rumor and speculation. If I had to say my thought process there, it's that whenever you're a marketing person for a company like Nvidia, the bigger number is always what you want to go with. So if you're counting up, like looking at Nvidia's GTX series for the past 10 years, you know, they had a 400 series, 500 series, a 600 series, a 700 series. They didn't really do much with the 800 series, but the 900 series, and then they had the 1000 series. So yeah, 1100 series would probably make more sense. 1180, 1170, 1160, 1180 Ti. That's all possible, but I don't know. Something tells me that 2000 sounds like a lot more than 1100. So maybe they'll go with 2000. But honestly, yeah, you're right. It's all speculation at this point. Nvidia could completely scrap their naming scheme and start over with like a 100 series or something like that, which honestly, I'd be totally fine with, because I don't know. Naming conventions for graphics cards and product lines tend to get repetitive over time, so change is sometimes good. Unless you're Intel and AMD, then it's confusing. Okay, thank you, Shannon, though, for your donation. Matt A. with the $10 donation says, "You guys rock." But I'm the only one here, so he must mean just I rock. So I take all of Kyle's praise as well. Thank you, Matt, for that and for your donation. Joel Malinix with the $5 donation. "Cheers, bros. I'm going to be drinking my beer from one of Paul's glasses when it arrives, and then I'll order Kyle's glass. Any beer recommendations?" I can definitely say you're making the right choice by drinking out of my glass. I can't say anything about Kyle's glass because I've not tried any of his glasses yet because he still doesn't have any. I'm not sure why. I feel like it's up to Kyle to ask to have some of those sent over to him. But yeah, thank you for your support and for drinking out of my glasses. These are really nice glasses, and I like them. As for beer recommendations, this is really good. Double nut brown. I like it a lot. Okay. Stephen Hill with the $20 donation. Oh my God. Thank you, Stephen. What the hell did I just do?
Steven!
I just clicked on things completely wrong. All right.
Hope y'all are well. I'm listening
Thank you,
as
Kyle.
editing some videos from Bear this weekekend.
Oh.
Gotta enjoy the little snow we have. No casualties. Hope the recovery is well. I was just in Big Bear last weekend. That's when I was snowboarding and got my rib and arm injury.
Oh yeah.
Hate Big Bear now. Sucks.
Big Bear sucks.
Totally ugly town. No one should ever visit it.
And there's really not much snow right now.
No, there's not.
At least it's cold. At least it's cold all of a sudden.
Yay.
It's like, hey, almost forgot about that whole winter thing. Hey, here's some freezing.
with none of the
It's
fun,
not even really freezing.
fun lovable snow.
It's a low of 38.
We're weak Californians.
Which is like, we're like, oh my God, it's low. The low is below 40.
The rest of the world's like, it's warm out.
Shut everything down.
East Coast is
is
like,
chaos.
let's go swimming.
It's chaos.
Listening to Beach Boys and shit.
Ground the planes and everyone huddle in the bunker.
The leaves in the trees are like moving and
Okay.
blowing and stuff.
Yeah.
There's lots of wind.
Okay.
Trevor Waters, $5. Don't make the mistake I did by using consumer hardware for your server. AMD EPYC would be a great fit. Check comments on your latest floatplane vid.
Hey, there you go.
Okay.
You're building a
AMD
server?
EPYC. I am.
Hey.
Yep.
Yeah, you should use server hardware for a server.
I don't know. I heard very conflicting things when I was researching it. I heard for the purposes that I'm using it for, that mainstream consumer grade stuff would be okay, and that I'm not going to be using it 24/7.
As long as
it's going to be very
As long as you have
occasional. that I'll be using.
ECC. Oh, so it's not going to be on all the time?
No.
All right. Then that's a different situation.
Yeah. More on that later.
Geared Inc. $10 donation. Hey guys, thanks for all you do. Went from 200 to 5,000 subs after just a month. Only possible because you challenge me every day to be better. Paul,
Wow.
glad to have you back. Have a drink on me, guys.
That's
Geared
huge.
Inc., thank you.
That's huge. Cheers, man. 200 to 5,000 in a month. That's faster than I grew.
And you have just challenged me to be better. So it's reciprocal. It's reciprocal. You know?
Circle of life.
It's a feedback loop.
All right. Thank you very much, Geared Inc. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And congrats again. Jeremiah Hoyt, $5.67. Very specific. Thanks for the great show, guys.
You're welcome, Jeremiah.
You're welcome, man.
Thanks for the donation.
Uganamea.
Ooh, gonna man.
$7.89 New Zealand dollars.
Kiwis.
Perhaps.
They're called Kiwis.
Kiwis. Gave me, Zane from New Zealand, a double Johnson by accident, so went to
Oh.
Kyle's store for a shirt as well.
Oh,
Well, cool.
well, thank you, Zane.
Appreciate
Thank you
that.
for following up with the double Johnson.
You're the most honest man I know.
This is the first accidental double Johnson we've. But
They
you,
don't come around
you
often.
kept us honest. We've now never had an erroneous double Johnson.
That's true.
I'm going to make that claim right now. Can never
very
be
special.
proven.
DJ
All right.
Cornbread the Third,
That's
$10. Ryzen 5 1600 or Ryzen 7 1700 to replace my FX 8520.
If you can swing it, then the 1700.
Yeah, extra cores and extra threads.
Yep.
Or go over the 1600 and you can always upgrade later.
Or if you can wait 2 months,
Go
check
for
out the
2.
Ryzen 2 options.
Yep.
That is soon.
Get a 2600 that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Perhaps 15%
That's exciting.
multi-core uplift.
Hai Lung with the $5 donation.
Hai Lung.
Pimp My PC should be a 10-minute weekly video for float plane exclusives.
Wow.
Just my thoughts. P.S. Majin Vegito is a Dragon Ball Z reference. Didn't you watch Dragon Ball?
I
Were you into that?
did, but
So you should know that.
I only watched certain sagas. Like I didn't watch
Is
the
that like
entire
Vegeta?
franchise.
Isn't Vegeta?
But that's Vegeta. This is Vegito.
Vegito.
Totally different.
Okay.
The Dragon Ball universe is it has lots of depth and goes on for
Yeah, that's
miles.
obviously.
I-
The lore is Ageless.
It's thick. It's thick, bro.
All right, well, that's good to know. And thank you, Hailung, for that. All right, Basher Zero, $5 donation. No comments. Thank you, sir, for your donation.
Thank you. Chris Hebron,
Hebron.
$5. Hi, Paul and Kyle. Big fan. Admire the good work you do. Do you have any suggestions for low-profile AIOs? Example, Corsair Hydro Series H5 SF cooler. So that's the one that they use for the Bulldog, small form factor AIO. So if you're looking for a small form factor liquid cooler for your CPU, geez. I mean, that one's tricky. The Corsair Hydro one that you're talking about, the H5 SF, that's specifically for very use case scenarios inside of the Bulldog, for example. It doesn't work with all cases. So I don't know. Are there any low profile AIO that are small form factor compared to the rest? I mean, smallest I can think of is like a 120.
I guess what are we talking about when it comes to low profile? The block pump units that mounts to the CPU.
I think he means low profile, like the radiator and
the radiator
fans
and
are like
fan.
low profile too, which if like for a small form factor build maybe like. But as far as I know,
usually those are just like the low end ones, like the entry level that have like kind of the thinner, like 18mm radiators.
Yeah.
Cooler Master. I know their entry level. I feel like I have one of them over there. One of their entry level master cooler liquid coolers. Those are pretty small. They got a basic pump in there and everything.
Right.
So that might be an option for you.
You can use some slim fans too on like a standard AIO to get the overall thickness down. But yeah, there really aren't that many options, to be honest, for what you're looking for. You got your typical 120s, your 240s, 360s.
Didn't Cooler Master also do that like all in one unit? That's like the AIO and the pump and then the fan and the radiator is like attached to it? Like that little thing.
They did. Right, but I definitely remember it got very mixed reviews.
Yeah, so that one's very
good in concept,
very
but,
niche.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But look into it though. It might suit your needs. Who knows? HL2.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, HL2 Master, $5, double nut brown.
Exactly.
That's all you need to know.
Cheers.
Andrew Wakusik, $5. Hey guys, what do you think of using a Ryzen 3 2200 for an office PC? Would be mainly used for day-to-day stuff along the occasional SketchUp Pro use. I think it'd be a fantastic option for that. I mean, no need to get a discrete GPU for that use case.
Honestly, it might even be a little overkill, depending on.
Yeah, you can go for an i3 with integrated Intel HD graphics. That would be maybe even cheaper.
Because honestly, you're not using that Vega GPU much at all. SketchUp is not going to be tasking the 3D.
Those 8 Vega cores.
Yeah. So but yeah, it's definitely perfectly viable.
Yeah.
And it's quad core, so.
Right.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Random Tech Tips, $13.37. Just wanted to say thanks for continuing to provide great content. You two who were what inspired me to start my own channel. I hope someday to be just half the tech YouTuber you two are.
Awesome.
See what I did there?
That means like one of us? Because we're two people?
Because we're half of...
Or he wants to cut us in half.
Like a magician or something, like cut us in half on stage, where like it's my head, but like Paul's feet are sticking out. I don't know. I don't really see what you did there, but I do appreciate the content, and I'm glad that we were able to inspire you to start your own channel.
I feel like we could accomplish a lot.
Yeah,
if we went that route.
We are very inspirational people.
Okay,
that's it,
guys. Thank you for all the donations. Oh my goodness! I now need to run down these. Johnson's first Johnson from Mark.
Mark
from Pennsylvania. Got the thumb screw in navy blue T-shirt. Big old Johnson for you, Mark.
Kevin, aka Kevin. BIOS flasher shirt. Johnson to you, sir.
Johnson to Austin from Texas, who got the mouse pad and the keycap.
Dave, aka Dave, for picking up a CPU cooler Heather dark gray T-shirt, limited edition.
Andrew from Ohio got the beer set. Oh, that includes a glass and the bottle opener, so you can drink your beer and open it too.
Johnson to my homie Kyle, fellow Kyle, picking up a CPU cooler Heather dark gray T-shirt, limited edition.
Matty Matt, the Prince of Fat from Connecticut.
Prince of Fap?
I just made Matt from Connecticut.
It's a bold reputation to slap on someone arbitrarily.
It's Matty Matt, the Prince of Fat. That's what.
That's
Anyway,
I feel
from Connecticut, got the desk mat, the mouse pad, men's tri-blend white logo T-shirt, and the beer set as well. Oh my gosh!
That's a double
Thank you, Matt.
Johnson for mine.
Double
There's a
Johnson.
Bitwit gaming desk mat. Bitwit words in a circle pint glass and stay positive tri-blend T-shirt.
Glorious. Kyle, was this a double
That was
Johnson?
a double
That was a
Johnson.
double Johnson for Kyle.
Johnson.
From West Virginia, Thumbscrew, the stainless steel bottle opener, which is useful for a wide variety of applications.
And Zane for picking up a CPU cooler Heather Dark Gray T. That was double.
And thus officializing his double Johnson.
Double
Zane
Johnson
was
for
who we had done the accidental double Johnson in the
yes.
first half.
Yes.
Now confirmed the double Johnson. Thank you, Zane.
Beautiful.
Dean from Virginia got the gaming mouse pad and desk mat set, and a big old Johnson for you, Dean. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Oh yeah.
And Thomas from Texas with
Tomas.
the tri-blend white logo T-shirt.
The mass.
Big old thanks and big old Johnson for you, Thomas. Finally, we're going to end this half of the show. We're going to end Awesome Hardware today by sending you all over for a raid. So if you're watching live,
Oh yeah.
then
Oh,
according to our friend and moderator Cell, big thanks also to Cell. I don't think we've given Cell a shout out today. Cell, you're always awesome as usual. He said, hey, everyone should go over now and check out
KC Brit.
KC Brit.
The letter K, the letter C, and then Brit. B-R-I-T.
So twitch.tv/KCBRIT, and tell Casey that he's being rated by Awesome Hardware, and
He currently has 6 viewers.
you should take off all his clothes.
He currently has 6 viewers. We have 635 at the moment.
So he should get naked.
So yeah, make sure that he does
Basically,
awful, terrible things.
basically what we're demanding.
Blow his
As
mind.
in just to say thank you for our raid.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks to Cell. Thanks to all you guys for being here, watching live. Go say hi to KC Brit. If you want to hit the thumbs up button on this video, definitely do so. If you didn't watch the first half, it's linked in the description, and all of the links to the stories we've talked about today are also linked in the description.
They sure are.
So thanks to you guys for being here, and we'll be back next week with more awesome hardware. Time for dinner.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh